Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to revive one of my favorite old laptops, the legendary ThinkPad X220. We will install Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Editio on it to give it a new lease of life. I will guide you through the installation process step by step, and make some optimization settings to make it run more smoothly. The ThinkPad X220 is renowned for its sturdy design, excellent keyboard feel, and ease of upgrade. Now in 2025, this veteran model released in 2011 still performs well. However, its hardware configuration is indeed somewhat outdated by today's standards, and running Windows may feel sluggish. But don't worry, we have the perfect solution, Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Edition. It's lightweight, smooth, user-friendly, visually appealing, and offers long-term support. Linux Mint is renowned for its user-friendly interface and powerful features, while the Cinnamon desktop environment provides a traditional yet efficient user experience. The most popular version of Linux Mint is the Cinnamon Edition. Cinnamon is primarily developed by Linux Mint and tailored specifically for Linux Mint. It's smooth, visually appealing, and packed with new features. This is why, when installing different versions of Linux Mint on my 4 ThinkPad X220 laptops, I prioritize installing the Cinnamon Edition desktop, as it offers a classic and elegant interface without any unnecessary clutter. Of course, in the following episodes, I will demonstrate the installation of the other 3 versions of Linux Mint on the remaining 3 ThinkPad X220 laptops, Xia Edition, Mate Edition, and LMDE6, which stands for Linux Mint Debian Edition. Before we begin, you will need a few things. First, of course, is your ThinkPad X220, a USB drive at least 8 GB for creating our bootable installer, and an internet connection for downloading the Linux Mint ISO file. Our first step is to download the Linux Mint ISO. Go to the Linux Mint official website. I will provide the link in the description below. Navigate to the Downloads section and select Cinnamon Edition. Click the Download button. Scroll down the page, and you will see a list of mirrors. Select the one closest to you for the fastest download speed. After downloading the ISO, save it to a location that is easy to find. Now, we need to convert the Linux Mint ISO file into a bootable USB drive. For Windows users, I strongly recommend using tools such as Rufus or Balena Etcher. For MacOS or Linux users, Balena Etcher is also a good choice. The process is very simple and straightforward. Open the tool you have selected. Select the Linux Mint ISO file. Select your USB drive. Double-check that you have selected the correct drive, as this process will delete all data on the drive. Click Flash to let the tool work its magic. This may take a few minutes, depending on the speed of your USB drive. When the bootable USB is ready, we insert it into the ThinkPad X220. Turn on the ThinkPad X220. When we see the ThinkPad startup screen, repeatedly press the F1 key to enter the BIOS utility settings. In the BIOS, navigate to the Startup tab, then press the F9 key to restore the default settings. After that, we set the UEFI legacy boot priority to UEFI only. Then, we press the F10 key to save and exit. At this point, the ThinkPad X220 laptop will restart. When we see the ThinkPad boot screen again, we press the F12 key to enter the boot menu. In the boot menu, we choose to boot from the USB HDD. Now we have arrived at the Linux Mint boot menu. Usually, the first option, Start Linux Mint, is the one we want. Select it and press Enter. This will boot you into the Linux Mint live environment. Don't worry, nothing has been installed on your hard drive yet. This live environment allows you to test Linux Mint and make sure everything is working properly before installing it. Now, the ThinkPad X220 laptop will boot from the USB drive and load the Linux Mint OS live environment. On this ThinkPad X220, loading the Linux Mint OS live environment took less than 1.5 minutes. In the Linux Mint live desktop environment, you can test or try out various features of the operating system. This ensures that it is compatible with your ThinkPad X220 hardware before installation. If you are satisfied, double-click the Install Linux Mint icon on the desktop to start the installation process. The Linux Mint installation wizard is very intuitive. We just need to follow the prompts on the screen. Step 1. Select your preferred language. Step 2. Select your keyboard layout. You can even type in the text box to test it. Step 3. Connect to the internet. Step 4. You will be asked about multimedia codecs. We strongly recommend that you check the Install Multimedia Codecs box so that you can play MP3s, watch videos, and use other media formats without any problems. Step 5. This is the critical disk partitioning step. For most users, especially if this is your only operating system or you can erase all content on the X220 hard drive, select Erase Disk and install Linux Mint. This is the simplest option. If you want to dual boot with Windows or perform more complex settings, you need to select Other. But this is beyond the scope of this beginner's guide. Step 6. Select your location for time zone settings. Step 7. Create your user account. Enter your name, computer name, username, and password. You can also choose to log in automatically or require a password to log in. Be sure to remember your password, as you will need it to log in to the system and perform administrative operations in the future. Once all settings are complete, the installer will begin copying files and installing the system. This process may take some time, so you can go make a cup of coffee or take a short break. On this ThinkPad X220 laptop, the installation process for Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon took approximately 8 minutes. Once the installation is complete, the system will prompt you to restart. Remember to remove the USB boot drive before restarting your ThinkPad X220. After installation, you will see a prompt to restart the computer. Ensure that you remove the USB installation drive before the prompt appears or before the system reboots. This is crucial to prevent your X220 from attempting to boot from the USB drive again. On this ThinkPad X220, the first time you start Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Edition, it takes about 30 seconds. When the system starts up, we will see the Linux Mint welcome screen, which will continue to guide us through setting up some useful features. This is very user-friendly. We just need to follow the prompts on the screen. The first is desktop color settings. Here, you can choose your favorite colors and whether you prefer a light or dark desktop theme. The second is system snapshot settings. Here, we can set up automatic system snapshots. It is recommended to set up at least 2 daily snapshots and 2 startup snapshots. If there are any faults, you can restore your computer to its previous working state. The third is the driver manager. Most hardware components are recognized and run automatically by the Linux kernel without the need to install drivers. However, some hardware components require proprietary drivers to be recognized or to run more efficiently. The fourth is multimedia codecs. To support certain formats and play popular audio, video, and web content, additional multimedia codecs are required. The fifth is the update manager. The small shield icon in the system tray is the update manager, which provides software updates, security updates, and kernel updates to fix vulnerabilities, ensure computer security, and support updated hardware components. This is our first time trying Update Manager on this ThinkPad X220. It prompts us to upgrade to a new version. After entering the password and confirming authentication, Mint Update begins downloading and installing the new version. After Update Manager is updated, we will see the available updates. Click Install Updates to start downloading and installing the updates. On this ThinkPad X220, the first update after installing Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Edition took less than 7 minutes. After the updates are installed, the system will prompt us to restart the computer to apply the installed updates. The sixth is System Settings. Here, you can view system settings and configure the operating system to your liking. The seventh is the Software Manager. The Software Manager offers approximately 60,000 applications. Linux Mint comes with the most basic software to get you started. If you want to learn more, you can use the Software Manager. The eighth is the Firewall Settings. Here you can enable the firewall, control, and monitor network traffic. At this point, we have finished demonstrating the welcome screen and first steps section. Next, we will take a quick look at the other sections: documentation, help, and contribute. Now, let me add the system snapshot settings that I omitted earlier. Alright, that concludes our demonstration of this section of the screen. Next, we will restart the ThinkPad X220 to apply the updates we just installed. Alright, now let's talk about the core of our operating system, Linux Mint 22.1 Xia Cinnamon Edition. For those unfamiliar with Linux Mint, it is widely regarded as one of the most user-friendly and accessible Linux distributions, especially for newcomers transitioning from Windows or Mac OS. The philosophy behind Linux Mint is to provide a modern, elegant, comfortable, powerful, and easy-to-use operating system. It is built on the solid foundation of Ubuntu, but typically enhances the user experience to make it more intuitive and less prone to major changes. Version 22.1 or Xia is the latest release, offering enhanced stability and new features. Cinnamon Editio is the focus of this video. Cinnamon is the flagship desktop environment of Linux Mint. It was developed by the Linux Mint team specifically to meet the ever-changing needs of users. It aims to provide a traditional desktop layout similar to older versions of Windows, but with modern aesthetics and advanced features. Think of it as a comfortable, familiar, and highly customizable environment. What are the main features of Cinnamon? It features a familiar panel at the bottom, a classic start menu, and an intuitive file manager. It is designed to be ready to use out of the box, enabling you to work efficiently. You will have a full suite of pre-installed applications, the Firefox web browser, the LibreOffice Office suite, a media player, an image viewer, and more. This means you can almost immediately start and run your basic tasks after installation. Customization is another area where Cinnamon excels. You can easily change themes, icons, fonts, and desktop effects. This level of personalization allows users to truly make the operating system their own and customize it according to their workflow and aesthetic preferences. Security and stability are of paramount importance in Linux Mint. It is based on Ubuntu, benefiting from a large community and regular security updates. Generally, Linux is less susceptible to the types of malware common on Windows, providing a safer computing environment. Mint's focus on stability means you'll spend less time troubleshooting and more time working or enjoying yourself. The software manager in Linux Mint is a game changer for new users. It is a graphical interface that makes installing new applications as easy as the app shop on a smartphone. Most common programs do not require complex command line entries. This greatly lowers the barrier to entry for users unfamiliar with Linux. Finally, there is the community. Linux Mint has a large and very helpful community. If you run into problems or have questions, you can always use the forums, wiki, and documentation. This support network is invaluable, especially if you are just starting out on your Linux journey. So, we have a powerful, fixable classic laptop and a modern, user-friendly, and powerful operating system. Next, we talk about why a ThinkPad X220 laptop running Linux Mint 22.1 Xia Cinnamon Edition is such a worthy combination, especially in 2025. The first and most obvious benefit is performance. While the X220's Intel Core A5 or A7 second generation processors won't set any speed records when compared to modern CPUs, they're capable of performing everyday tasks. By its nature, Linux is much lighter on system resources than Windows. This means that the X220 may feel sluggish on Windows 10 or 11, but it will feel snappy and responsive when running Linux Mint. RAM utilization is lower, CPU cycles are optimized, and background processes are kept to a minimum. This translates directly into a smoother user experience. Faster boot times, faster application launches, and smoother multitasking, even with 4 GB or 8 GB of RAM. If you upgrade to an SSD, which is highly recommended and easy to do on the X220, performance will improve dramatically. Power efficiency is another key advantage. With a lighter operating system, the X220 can extend the life of older batteries. While you won't get a full day of battery life like you would with a modern Ultrabook, you can certainly achieve a few hours of productive use, especially with the larger 9-cell batteries, which many X220s come with or can easily find. Driver support is usually very good for older ThinkPads on Linux. The open-source nature of Linux means that drivers for most of the X220's components, such as Wi-Fi, Ethernet, integrated graphics, webcam, audio, etc., are either built right into the kernel or readily available. You won't have to scramble to find obscure drivers or deal with compatibility issues. The powerful hardware of the ThinkPad X220 complements the stability of Linux Mint 22.1 perfectly. You have a machine built like a tank, paired with a system that rarely crashes. This combination creates an incredibly reliable computing environment that's perfect for students, writers, developers, or anyone who values reliability over flashy features. The total cost of ownership is very low. You can buy a used ThinkPad X220 at a very reasonable price. Linux Mint is completely free. As a result, you get a fully featured, powerful, and functional laptop setup at a fraction of the cost of a new machine, making it an excellent budget-friendly computing option. And let's not forget the sheer satisfaction of breathing new life into an old machine. It's sustainable and affordable, and proves that you don't always need the latest and greatest equipment for powerful and enjoyable computing. The X220 with Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Editio is a statement against planned obsolescence. So for anyone looking for a reliable, affordable, and customizable laptop experience, this pairing is well worth considering. What do you think? Have you ever installed Linux on a ThinkPad X220 laptop? Have you ever installed Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Editio on an old machine? Let me know your experience in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more tech content and click the notification bell to avoid missing our next video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.